That it was to be a test of strength became apparent soon enough at Norwood Oval, because between the spectators and the players was a solid wall of police, 500 in all, with barely space between them to squeeze through a football, let alone a demonstrator. From the moment the Springboks ran from the players' race onto the playing arena, the anti-apartheid demonstrators sounded off with chants, firecrackers, abuse, foul language and shrill whistles that never let up for the next 100 minutes. First attempt to probe the police front lines came with a hail of large crackers, but the police held firm. The game itself was only 2 minutes old. Anti-apartheid leaders, wishing the visitors all kinds of ill fortune, made it obvious that making the game unpleasant was only part of the plan, and the first arrest came within 10 minutes of the start. Despite the unyielding, constant crescendo from the mounds, the touring South Africans were the undisputed masters on the pitch itself. They were beating the home side hands down, while not once was the game actually stopped because of the opposition. Now and again, an opponent of the Springboks made it onto the playing area, only to be smartly tackled and hustled off by rugby players acting as marshals. The visitors, meanwhile, were cleaning up. Early score, South Africa 23 points, South Australia 0. Overall, the demonstrators seemed to have no master plan, but individually they used tactics which probed and tested the men in blue to capacity. Dozens of smoke bombs made vision difficult, no matter how quickly they were snuffed out, and while police hustled off those they considered the main troublemakers, rocks as big as fists rained down. Some of those arrested adopted a non-violent stance, but refusing to cooperate had its drawbacks for the people on both sides of the fence. Non-cooperation meant having to be carried off, but the police couldn't do that until they'd lifted them over the fence, and at times that proved rough. Suddenly, as if angered at the frustration of not being able to penetrate the police barrier, several bottles were hurled, one of which smashed on the skull of a young policeman. And all the while, the press of the world was watching. Mr. Harris, you're here representing the London Times. I wonder what you think about what's happening here tonight.
I don't like it a bit. I think this simply confirms the fact that the Australian government was quite wrong to allow this tour to begin at all. And I think what we see here tonight should confirm us that the tour should not be allowed to continue. Otherwise, more people are going to get hurt. The Australian nation is going to get divided. And it just makes me extremely angry to see this sort of violence going on. I think you'll find as you go further east that the violence will get worse, the organisation will get better, and I think that people are determined to stop the tour. And I think it should be stopped tonight in case more violence happens further east in the rugby union states.
Pathetically, soon after, 2 Molotov cocktails, bottles filled with petrol and with a burning wick, were thrown into the police cordon. In both cases, they failed to burst and were quickly doused. Then, tempers frayed, one boundary fence started to give way before the increasingly determined crowd. Frightened families, including several young children, were hauled over the fence and away from the scene just as it appeared that they would be hurt. Some of the younger children were near hysteria when pulled out of the mob. Police escorted them to a quieter and safer area.
Well, see, all these teenagers things come and pushed us and we all got squashed against the fence and some policemen lifted us over.
Didn't you realise perhaps that there might be trouble tonight? Wouldn't it have been better?
Trouble, but it was supposed to be a peaceful one.
Where there was no trouble.
This was going to be for very long. There was going to be no trouble, it was going to be a peaceful demonstration. This is fair enough, but this wasn't peaceful at all.
How do you feel about what's happened here tonight?
Well, I don't agree with the policy, but I do think it could have been done a little bit more gentle, because there are youngsters here, they all belong to rugby teams, they like their rugby.
If you don't agree with the policy, why did you come to watch them?
Because I still enjoy rugby.
Thanks very much.
People get killed in South Africa because you're condoned.
At times, the Oval looked more like a battlefield as the occasional frontline demonstrator ran out. Others tried hard.
Yeah, I jumped that
fence. Time and time again, I've run into the centre of the oval and they keep putting me back. I've been breaking bylaws and regulations and
Why do you want to be arrested?
Because I think it's the best way to get publicity overseas for what we're doing here.
Is that your only aim, just
yes,
publicity?
because I think the press don't give accurate estimations of the crowds that come here, of the strength of the protest movement against these tours, and I think the best way to do it is to get arrested.
I notice you've got a chain on your wrist. What's that for?
We were going to get on there and chain ourselves together, but not enough of us have been able to get on.
What do you want to do tonight?
Stop this match.
And how are you going to do it?
Well, we can't. There's too much police, too many police.
Give up then?
No, I'm not giving up. I'm going over again.
On the fourth try, she was finally led away by police. Towards the end of the match, anger took over from restraint in some clashes, and the inevitable casualties resulted. In the final analysis, it's doubtful whether the demonstrators had much effect on the Springboks. They'd coasted to an easy 43-0 victory. More importantly, perhaps, the demonstrators had shown the police that they were willing to go to new lengths, some to violent extremes, to make their feelings known.